All the smart people in the world that don't trust the bank, don't trust the currency, want to keep their money, they're all discovering Bitcoin. It's like all the smart people decided to use math and use this language. And now what happens in the future? Well, stuff will advance, but you're going to have a trillion, then a 10 trillion, then $100 trillion network. It will be the most consequential halving in the history of Bitcoin, in my opinion. It will create a squeeze. It means at that point...
The Bitcoin halving is upon us, and in this interview, which is adapted from the 2024 Abundance 360 Summit, Peter Diamandis, CEO of the Zero Gravity Corporation and popular Bitcoin maximalist, co-founder and former CEO of MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, discuss all things Bitcoin. Saylor starts by explaining that the current financial system has failed. He cites countries experiencing hyperinflation like Nigeria, Venezuela, and Zimbabwe, and explains that this is the final destination for all fiat. Bitcoin solves all the problems of traditional finance, and now all the uncertainty surrounding Bitcoin has largely been removed by the approval of the spot ETFs.
Breaking news around all this. Kate Rooney has more on this decision by the SEC. Kate.
Hi, Morgan. We are just getting word from the SEC that a wave of Bitcoin ETFs have been approved.
He explains that we are now in a crucial 10-year period, after which you would have missed the boat. He also gives an explanation for why a massive surge in price is certain post-halving. Be sure to stick around for that. Let's jump right in.
The whole essence of Bitcoin is about creating perfect money and the discovery of what we call digital scarcity as a digital scarcity as a commodity basis for sound money. And another one of the tropes in the community is when money is abundant, everything else is scarce. And when money is scarce, everything else in the society is abundant.
Let's talk about the path towards what seems to be inevitable, for which there is tremendous social disbelief, institutional resistance, manipulation. So let's say the decade of 2018-19 was still the very entrepreneurial, highly risk area. We started to have adoption by wealthier individuals, and we finally moved into institutions, the release of the ETFs. And I talk about going from deceptive to disruptive, and we're in that knee of the curve, right? I mean, so this is an example of the 6Ds, right? We've digitized money, you've dematerialized it, you effectively demonetized the ability to transmit, and you've democratized access to it. And it's going from deceptive to disruptive. Is there a final card to flip, domino to fall? Is it governments beyond El Salvador adopting this?
You know, I think 2020 to 2024 was high volatility, high uncertainty. It's like that early stage of institutional adoption, but really, we start mainstream institutional adoption, I would date it to January 2024 with the approval of the ETFs, the spot ETFs. And I think it runs, we have about a 10-year gold rush. It runs to 2034 November. Between 2024 and 2034, we will have mined 99% of all the Bitcoin. So Bitcoin becomes, for all practical purposes, fixed by November of 2024. The last 1% comes out over 100 years. We have this 42-quarter period where at the beginning of the period...
What percentage are we at now?
Right now, we're like 94%. You think it's not much, but I mean, 5% is a lot over 10 years compared to 1% over 100 years. So there's actually still Bitcoin available for sale right now. The miners have to sell it. So at the beginning of this period in Q1, we're in Q1 now, if you go to January 1st, no institution could buy it even if they wanted to. It just wasn't on their radar. So you really have 42 quarters of people learning what it is, studying it. You've got Wall Street firms spinning up massive education apparatus. You've got a whole set of stages of adoption. First, can I buy it? Then is it on the approved list for solicited sale? Then it is on the approved list for unsolicited sale. Is it marginable? Can I borrow against it? Is it optionable? Can I hedge it? Is it recommended? Is it structural? Is it built into a fund? That's like 7 layers of adoption. People take a year to think about each of those layers. There's 100 powerful entities that control huge amounts of money that'll go through that in the Western world. So I think we're in this institutional education stage. In 2034, it'll simply be the new thing. Right now, it's like scary, exotic thing for most people.
By the year 2034, there would have been 2 more halvings, one in 2028 and the other in 2032. After these 2 halvings, the daily issuance of Bitcoin will be down to 112.5 BTC per day, even if Bitcoin maintains its current price. After that period, the daily issuance will be so minute relative to the tradable supply that it will become of no consequence. Saylor believes that this event, coupled with the massive increase in institutional adoption that is about to occur, will culminate in what he calls the end of the Bitcoin gold rush era, the point at which he believes you would have missed the most returns possible from buying Bitcoin. Sit back as we bring you more clips from the interview.
When I started searching around and I discovered Bitcoin, I thought, okay, well, this is crypto gold, but it's got none of the defects of gold. It's got all the attributes of a big tech monopoly. It's better money than any economist has ever conceptualized in the history of the world. So I thought, this is kind of perfect money, and I can't see it being more perfect. So the question is it going to be banned? Is it going to be copied? Or is it going to be hacked? You know, you start as the denier. It's not a good thing. And then you go to skeptic. Skeptic is it's too good to be true. So when I got to my skeptical phase, I just asked, will it be banned? Will it be copied? Will it be hacked? And I stared at it, and the conclusion was, if it's understood to be property, not currency, then no, it's not going to be banned in a country that gives you property rights, which means it's banned in Cuba, it's banned in North Korea. If the world becomes communist and they deprive you of the ability to own things, that's an existential risk, but that's not a problem in Russia or China or the US right now. So not banned. Will it be copied? It was copied 10,000 times, they all failed. And now, will it be hacked? And Satoshi's got 50, 60 billion dollars in a wallet out there, then that's the reward for hacking it, and no one's figured out how to get the money yet. So it hasn't been hacked, and I know it's able to store 60 billion without anybody hitting it. So what I think the way to understand Bitcoin is everything you learned in economics and about money in your entire life was pseudoscience and superstitious. And you can't blame the economists for being mired in pseudoscience and superstition, because we never discovered perfect money. And so Bitcoin is the first time that we actually discovered a thermodynamically sound, mathematically sound economic protocol in the history of the world. So I think we will date things before Satoshi and after Satoshi. And I think that you can't think of it as a network or as a product. You have to look at it as a protocol the human race discovered. And so this is the first sound protocol, economic protocol in the history of the world. Now we finally realize why seashells and bales of tobacco and fiat currency and gold coins and silver coins and copper tokens and glass beads and the giant stone coin of the Yap people, we understand why that stuff never worked. Now you know. If you really understand Bitcoin, it's because I've got an asset where the energy has a half-life of forever, and the half-life of energy in gold is 30 years, and the half-life of your money or your energy in the dollar is 10 years, and the half-life of your energy in the bolivar is 1 year. And now once you understand that basic breakthrough, now the light bulb goes off. So I think all the smart money, all the smart people in the world that don't trust the bank, don't trust the currency, want to keep their money, they're all discovering Bitcoin. It's like all the smart people decided to use math and use this language. And now what happens in the future? Well, stuff will advance, but you're going to have a trillion, then a 10 trillion, then $100 trillion network. And if someone comes up with a new crypto algorithm and it's better, we're just going to fold it into this network. And if someone comes up with another twist or tweak, we're going to fold it in the network.
Saylor is confident that Bitcoin will go to $100 trillion, more than 5,000% from where it currently is. He asserts that smart money, a term used in trading circles to refer to investors who are well educated and often historically successful, are all buying Bitcoin. The approval of the spot ETFs has provided a new degree of regulatory clarity in regards to Bitcoin. And Saylor explains that the end result of this is that the global financial system will be contained within Bitcoin, He's confident that no matter how many cryptocurrency arise, Bitcoin's first mover advantage will always give it the edge.
What about the halving? What do you expect to see?
Bitcoins, right now there are 900 Bitcoin naturally produced every day available for sale, and the miners generally have to sell them. They have high electricity bills and high debt bills and build outs. Around April 20th, that'll be cut in half. That's 23 million a day or 20-something million a day. That's like taking $8 billion a year of supply out of the market. It will be the most consequential halving in the history of Bitcoin, in my opinion. It will create a squeeze. It means at that point, if the natural organic demand is in excess of 25 million a day, then there is no natural seller. So it's very bullish for the asset class and for Bitcoin holders. I think that by 2028, you'll be down to 225 Bitcoin a day. It'll start to become second order, and by 2032, it's a rounding error.
The Bitcoin ETFs currently see over $1 billion of daily inflows. This halving will cut the supply down to a mere 29 million per day. With such a massive supply-demand imbalance, the months ahead are certain to be very spicy. Saylor went further to explain that bankruptcy estates like FTX have been selling off in order to service claims. But as that comes to an end, recent downside pressure is certain to reduce. The result of all this is 100% bullish. What do you think about Saylor's optimistic outlook? To see the latest in crypto news, watch this video here.